What's up, y'all? So, as you all know, Zohran had a massive victory yesterday to win the New York City Democratic primary for the mayor. There's still a chance that Cuomo could try to rat fuck him by hopping in as an independent. But the fact that he won in the first round is, like,
huge.
Incredible. I said this on my show. Only 1 out of 32 polls had him winning in the first round.
I didn't see any polls that had him winning
one.
in the first
There was
round.
a public policy polling poll, and that's it. All the others had him down. And you know, they had him down, some polls had him down like 8 or 10.
Yeah, nobody was expecting him to be ahead in the first round. We were setting up, because we were live streaming the show with like, okay, well, if Cuomo is above 6, then it's probably going to be difficult for Zohran to overcome. If it's more like 3, 4, then Zohran's down. But we never were like, Zohran's going to win the first round. And I also was prepared for, they weren't even going to start counting the ranked choice until July 1st.
July 1st.
So it was like, there's no way we're going to know tonight.
But now he's probably going to increase his margin of victory too.
Yeah, definitely. So because the third place Brad Lander
got like what, 11 or something
11%,
like that?
and the campaign, Zohran's campaign, told us that some 80 to 90% of Lander votes are ranking him second.
Yeah.
So second.
He won. Did he end up winning by 8 over Cuomo in the first round?
Something
Did
like
that hold?
Yeah.
Oh my God. So I mean, it's just a bloodbath. It's just a bloodbath.
Landslide.
And of course, you know, the takeaway is the old guard of the Democratic Party. I mean, they are fucking running on fumes, dog. I mean, Andrew Cuomo, he's a huge name in Democratic politics. He, of course, had his 50,000 scandals, and he was taking Trump billionaire money. But it was viewed as like, oh, Cuomo's got this. Like, it's kind of a chew-in type deal. And it just didn't happen. You have a young, Muslim, immigrant, democratic socialist who supports Palestinians who just crushed. So, I mean...
He's ready to arrest Netanyahu if he shows up in New York.
Based. I said that's got to be...
Good.
That's got to be a litmus test for the Democratic Party now, because look, hey, it works. It works.
And you know what? It is so glorious that in the city in America with the largest Jewish population, they thought they could run this anti-Semitism bullshit smear campaign and came in with tens of millions of dollars, and it didn't work. I mean, I really want to know the numbers, but I would be, I would not be surprised at all if Zohran actually won Jewish voters. So, all of their tricks, all of their actual stereotyping of Jewish people and anti-Semitism, assuming that every Jewish person, their number one priority must be like your policy on Israel and Tel Aviv, all of that completely obliterated, and that is so glorious.
Look, I grew up in New Rochelle, New York, which is literally like just above the city, right, on the map. And I grew up in an area that was a very Jewish area. A lot of my friends are Jewish. Corin's Jewish. My buddy Henry's Jewish. Like, I grew up in that, around them. And first of all, they're fully fucking American. Second of all, they're not, like, their main issue is not fucking Israel. Like, they care about, like, cost of living and shit. And so, when Zohran's like, freeze the rent, it's like, fuck yeah, freeze the rent. When he's like, free childcare, they're like, fuck yeah, free buses. Fuck yeah, free buses.
I mean, Zohran definitely had Jewish people working on his campaign. He had many Jewish supporters. Brad Lander is the highest Jewish elected official in the city of New York.
Yep, that's right.
So, I mean, just this caricature and this stereotype, this idea that all Jewish people are like, yes, we must be fully committed to the genocide in Gaza.
That's bigoted.
It's
that's
bigoted. It's utterly disgusting.
Yeah.
So, anyway, it's important because other candidates are going to watch that and see that he was able to. This is a guy who supports BDS. He called it a genocide. I mean, he wasn't pulling punches. And
no, he doubled when they attacked him. He doubled down.
That's right. And so, the fact that he was able to do that and do that in New York City really sends a message to other candidates to, I think it will strengthen their resolve to also be similarly principled on, because the Democratic base is there. Like, the Democratic base is all the way there.
Bro.
So you don't need to be afraid of the voters, certainly.
Absolutely.
And calling out this horror and this genocide.
So today, and somebody said this last night, they were like, I'm waiting for that first Trump tweet to hit about Zohran. And then today, he delivered.
Yeah.
This is hilarious. I'll read it for everybody. This is great, y'all.
He said, it's finally happened. The Democrats have crossed the line. Zohran Mamdani, a 100% communist lunatic, has just won the Dem primaries on his way to becoming mayor. We've had radical lefties before, but this is getting a little ridiculous. unbelievable.
Oh my god, bro. That is the worst projection I've ever heard.
His voice is grating.
What?
He's not very smart.
Oh my god.
He's got AOC +3. That's what he means by the squad, I guess. Dummies all backing him, and even our great Palestinian senator, crying Chuck Schumer, is groveling over him. I wish that was the case. Yes, this is a big moment in the history of our country. So, man, the envy just oozing out of this post.
This is one of the upsides of lefties winning, is that it really baits the right into showing how fucking insane they are. It makes the right so much more unappealing because they don't know how to handle a lefty.
Yeah.
Because lefties actually have principles, they believe in something, they argue for it, and it puts them in a position where he's like, oh yeah? You're ugly.
Well, did you
like,
see...
What?
Did you see... which I think the consensus is generally that Zohran is a pretty good-looking man.
Zohran's a hot-ass dude, bro.
They tried so hard to find, like, bad pictures of him to use in their, like, mailers, and they just would make him look, like, more cool. You know, I mean, it's just... But, did you see the Fox News, like, the graphics that they'd put up about his, like, terrible socialist plans? And it'd be like...
Freeze the rent.
Childcare. Freeze the rent.
Yeah.
Like,
$30 minimum wage by 2030.
One of them was, like, a free package for newborn babies.
Oh,
what a monster.
How dare you.
And that's the thing is that when you run that way, to your point...
You bait them into being like...
Into being ridiculous.
Can you believe he wants to give everybody health care? This fucking guy over here.
Free buses. They polled New York City residents. The free bus idea had like 80% support. And they want you to believe that's radical. It's like, no.
Insane.
This is mainstream. And so, of course, they're trying to dig up old, like, culture war related tweets and whatever.
It doesn't work. The right tried to do that to me. It doesn't work. They tried to do it to me. Mike Cernovich dug up my old tweets and shit.
Oh, yeah.
And it just made everybody like me more.
Well, these were
and the same shit is happening with him.
Yeah, but these were more of the, the talking about the NYPD and, them being anti-queer, and it was like, it was that kind of stuff, and calling for defunding the police. That's the stuff that they're digging up with him and trying to make that what he's about. But because his campaign was so laser focused on making the city affordable with these super concrete policies that people could really just like sink their teeth into, and he's so strongly associated with that, it just doesn't land in the same way. So the meltdown has been glorious. CNBC is melting down. Democratic leadership's freaking out. They don't know what to do. Did
you see the thing on CNBC? Was it Jim Cramer? Somebody was like, he's trying to give working people a chance, and I think it was Cramer chimes in, and he's like, what about giving rich people a chance?
Oh my god.
Who will think of the rich people?
Oh man, the narcissism of these people, it's unbelievable.
And then you had Laura Loomer and Charlie Kirk go full fucking total Islamophobic bigot
and
asshole.
Stephen Miller too, by the way.
Stephen Miller too, but Charlie Kirk said some shit like, we had over 2,000 Americans die in 9/11 over 20 years ago, and now a Muslim mayor is running the country. As if like the fact that you're comparing this guy to fucking Al-Qaeda. Meanwhile, the president that you support, Charlie, was just making a deal with the actual former Al-Qaeda guy who now runs Syria. You son of a bitch. You prick. Like, they see a Muslim and they're just like, evil, bad, terrorist. And Laura Loomer did it, Charlie Kirk did it. It's just
Marjorie Taylor Greene tweeted out, like, the Statue of Liberty with a burqa on it.
Oh my
They're
God,
all like,
bro.
New York has fallen. And the thing this was pissing me off, maybe more than anything, it's all so disgusting. It's just so naked. But Stephen Miller was doing the whole, like, great replacement theory with regard to New York City, and his particular, like, racist cope was that Zohran won because of all of the, like, illegal immigrants who have taken over New York City. And it's like, he has to lie about it because, first of all, Zohran's coalition was truly multi-ethnic, multiracial. It was, his strongest support was, like, working and middle-class people. And so when you see he had native-born and he had immigrants coming together in this, like, collective universalist solidarity project, that is a direct threat to Stephen Miller's racist white nationalist blood and soil project. And so he has to lie about it and pretend like that's not what's happening.
If it was only white people who voted, Zohran would have won by more. If only white people voted, Zohran would have had an even bigger victory.
Yeah.
And Stephen Miller is making it seem like you got to get rid of all the minorities so that like psychos like him can get elected. We don't fucking like you, bro. We don't. Look at me. I'm white as fuck. We don't like you. We don't like you. You're a piece of shit. You look like, who is it, Goebbels? It's Goebbels, right? Is it Goebbels or Himmler? Goebbels, I think. He looks like a literal fucking Nazi, and his policies are Nazi shit.
He is a literal Nazi.
I know, and it's like, but I love it because it really is the case that all these idiots were baited into overreaching. And this was the thing, right? When Kamala first jumped in and she started doing we're going to ban price gouging for groceries, and then like all the Fox idiots and Trump and all them were calling her a communist.
Yeah.
She was going up in the polls when they did that.
That's when she had the best.
Yeah, because she's saying, hey, I'm gonna freeze, I'm gonna end the price gouging for groceries, and they're like, how dare you? And it's like, people look at that and they go, I don't know, I kind of like that idea. You can call it whatever you want, but I kind of like the fucking idea.
Well, it makes it so you're fighting on
your grounds.
Winning ground.
Your
so
grounds.
It's like, you want to fight about price gouging? You want to fight about free buses? You want to fight about freezing the rent? Let's do that all day long. And that's the ground where lefties can win, and they can win big. For him it is mind-blowing. He came out of nowhere. I mean, he was polling at 0% when he entered this race. And you remember the first thing that really put him on the map. I think you covered it. I know we covered it.
Yeah.
Right after Trump won, he just went out with a camera and was like talking to New Yorkers, like, why'd you vote for him? Who'd you vote for? Why'd you vote for him? And that went super viral of people just explaining, regular New Yorkers just explaining, like, here's how I was thinking about the election. And then from there, obviously his like content game was top notch, but the message was laser focused. Super proud that we had Zohran on Breaking Points, before he became sort of national phenom.
We were supposed to have him on KKF, but remember that he was like literally on the floor of the New York Assembly, and then he had to go.
Tech issue, that unfortunately, created a problem. But
but he was willing to do the show,
Yeah, totally. And so we really, were impressed with him early, but I didn't think he could win. It was like, this is cool. It's amazing that he's even giving Cuomo any kind of a run for his money. But Cuomo's such a juggernaut. And, Zohran, this 33-year-old guy coming out of nowhere, like literally starting, like I said, at 0% in the polls. It's just, it's so great. It's just so great.
We also have to point out the obvious, too, which is that he's got the X factor. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
He's so charismatic.
Which is what is also funny about Trump's tweet, is he's trying to act like that's not the case when everybody knows that's the case.
The other thing is, he is fucking good on his feet, too. Like, he was asked by Stephen Colbert, like, hey, what would you say to Jewish voters who, see a rise in anti-Semitism and they don't agree with some of the stuff you said? And he handled that shit masterfully. He validated that anti-Semitism is a scourge and it's a problem and it's horrible, but then he put the little cherry on top at the end, which was like, look, I agree with Palestinian freedom and liberation, and that's something that's super important,
Yeah, and he was sitting right next to Brad Lander, who, again, highest Jewish elected official in the city of New York, who was like, this dude's not an anti-Semite, so, this is not my experience with him. So, even though, like, it was obnoxious, the way Colbert asked it was obnoxious. It was obnoxious that this became such a focus of the campaign.
But it helped him.
I actually think that helped him, too, because it gave him, especially with Lander sitting there, it gave him a chance to just sort of, like, totally put it to bed.
But that's also, a good politician can take something that's supposed to be a negative and flip it into a positive.
Right, because then it gave him an opportunity to, address this issue they're trying to dog him with. I felt the same thing about the most infamous moment to me on the campaign was at the debate when they did the lightning round and ask everybody, what's the first foreign country you would visit? Weird question to start with when you're running for New York City mayor. And almost everybody on the stage is like, oh, Israel, of course. Whitney Tilson's like, Israel and Ukraine. And then you get to Zohran and he's like, I'm staying in New York. Like, I'm running to be mayor. I'm going to be here in New York. And they're like,
how dare you?
But will you go to Israel?
Why do you hate Israel?
And then he's like, well, I'll see Jewish voters here in New York City, like wherever they're at the store, at the temple. That's where I'm going to be delivering for Jewish New Yorkers. And they're like, well, do you support Israel's right to exist? And that's when he first was like, yeah, as a state with equal rights.
And they were like, oh, how dare you?
Yeah.
Equal rights? Disgusting.
And that was such a genius move, because who can oppose equal rights?
Yeah, he flips it back on them, like, if you oppose this, you're actually crazy.
Right.
They're trying to hit him with, say the thing I want you to say or you're crazy. And he's like, actually, no, if you don't say the thing I'm saying, you're crazy.
Right. You're against people having equal rights. Tell me more about that. That seems like a position you should have to defend, to be honest with you, especially in the context of a Democratic primary. So.
And it looks like some of the Democrats now are actually saying, yeah, it's over. We're getting behind Zohran.
I saw Bill Clinton who had endorsed Cuomo and recorded a robocall for him, which is LOL. But I saw he put out a message. I thought that was significant.
Hakeem Jeffries?
Yeah.
He said, like, congratulations, and he's meeting with him. I think Chuck Schumer said some shit.
Have said, like, Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, to me, their messages, and Kathy Hochul, are very carefully calibrated as, like, could go either way. It's not like they were immediately like, we're behind you for November.
But they said they're meeting with him, right?
They said they're meeting with him, yeah. But to me, they were leaving the door open. So we'll see.
But to your point, won't there be such a revolt if they try to rat fuck them? They're already on thin ice. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, they're already on thin ice. You think Chuck Schumer doesn't remember when he let Trump do the continuing resolution and literally everybody in the party was like, go fuck yourself and resign?
Right.
You think he doesn't remember that?
Yeah. No,
so he doesn't have much political capital. Like, he doesn't have much room to maneuver.
On the other hand, he may be retiring. He's old.
Which, by the way,
he's not up till 2028, so he might be retiring.
You saw he was hospitalized today.
I did,
right?
Yeah.
The initial report said it was dehydration.
Maybe. It's very hot.
Maybe. But, like,
it's very hot.
Look at the contrast, though. Like, the old guard, that's what the old guard is, like, literally being fucking hospitalized.
They're, like, literally collapsing.
And dying.
Yeah.
Right? And then you got, like, Zohran, who's like, bro, let's go. Like, I'm good. I'm chilling.
Yeah.
Like, you see the future, and you see, like, the fumes of the past that they're running on, and they're just, they can't keep it. That's the thing, Chris. I don't think they can keep it together anymore, right? Like, in the same way that Trump sort of broke the Republican Party.
Yeah.
They all, we want Jeb Bush, we want Marco Rubio. Hey, we'll even take Ted Cruz. And Trump was just like, no, I'm the guy, because he made the base fall in love with him. I think that's what's going to happen in the Democratic Party. We saw it now for the first time with Zohran.
Yeah.
And then I think, like, in a 2028 Democratic primary, Alyssa Slotkin might try to run, but, like, give me a break. You can't hold back the wave anymore.
I think that's right. And what's changed is the Democratic base falling out with the Democratic leadership and with their media institutions. And that just completely changes everything. Because in 2020, what made it possible for that race to turn away from Bernie with the, Obama's intervention and all the elites consolidating was that the elites still had that kind of credibility and purchase with the base, where when they were like, and the media was like, oh, you gotta vote for Joe Biden to beat Trump. The Democratic base was like, all right, that's what we're going to do. And they don't have that hold anymore. It's
because now the base knows, oh, it's AOC and it's Bernie who are fighting Trump.
Right.
They know that. They know, oh, I see who's fighting. I see Tim Walz fighting. I see them.
Not only that, but they see Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. These people are pathetic.
I know.
Pathetic. Like,
and everybody
Obama's
sees
pathetic.
that.
The country is being destroyed. The world is being destroyed. And you've got, like, next to nothing to say about it. And I'm seeing Kamala Harris, like, you have nothing to say about it? These are people who are supposed to be positioning themselves as, like, moral leaders, and they're completely absent. So, yeah, the people who've stepped into the void.
Isn't, like, Hillary saying more than Kamala?
She is. I've seen her at least out there, like, tweeting.
That's amazing. When Hillary, like, outflanked you. That's kind of wild.
It's pretty pathetic, isn't it? So, that's what's really different now, is how underwater Democratic leadership is with the Democratic base, and that really creates huge possibilities. And independent media, we've got our issues with some of the ways independent media has gone, but it is true that it creates new possibilities and has grown significantly as cable news has continued to decline.
Well, because now there actually is some like Democratic liberal media too.
Oh yeah,
that is more radical than leadership. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
we're like cheering Zohran Mamdani winning.
Midas Touch is way better than MSNBC, way better than, and certainly Democratic leadership. So,
wow. So there you go, y'all. Donald Trump melting down, the right melting down, baiting, Zohran's existence. That kind of happened under the Obama era too, where Obama's existence baited the right into just being like total psychopathic racists.
Yeah.
And that made Obama's approval rating stay kind of high.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's a similar thing with Zohran. If anything, it's even worse. Because they're basically calling him like a terrorist,
Yeah, I saw that Beitar Worldwide, who are the people that are...
Evacuate New York immediately.
Yeah, they're the ones who are supposedly giving the Trump administration, like, the list of, like, Mahmoud Khalil and whoever that they want deported.
We're on those lists, by the way.
Probably. But yeah, they're like, Jews must evacuate New York. And someone was like, you first. And they're like, we're in Jews are safer in New York City than they are in Israel right now. Promise you.
No doubt about it.
Thanks to the policies of the Israeli government. So
there you go, y'all.